Welcome to the This Week in Golf podcast, and I am back in San Diego. And let's talk about what's happening in golf. Obviously, the PGA season is over. The LIV season has just concluded about a week and a half ago. And let's talk about odds and ends and what's happening. You would think everything's done, but we have some topics today. And those topics are the President's Cup, TGL. We'll wrap up LIV and the team golf competition. And kind of it all ties together with the President's Cup and TGL, which is the Tiger Indoor Golf League or Tomorrow Golf League. I just call it the Tiger Golf League. And LIV with the team competition. And then also the match. The match. Let's start with the match. You know the match. It's like where Phil Mickelson and Tiger team up with Tom Brady and Tony Romo, and they have a match. I don't really care for it at all. I think the idea is good. The production is horrible. There's nothing worse than when they're like in a golf cart going to their shot and, somebody calls in like Charles Barkley and talks smack. It's very like locker room jockish. It's quite lame, actually, the production. And it seems to take a long time as well. But they have announced the latest match, which, here we go. LIV versus the PGA. It's going to be Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka against Rory, McIlroy, and Scottie Scheffler. And that will be the match, and it's coming up. And I'm interested to see not just how they produce it, but also kind of how the ratings play out, and if they make it LIV versus the PGA Tour or they underplay that. Because this is a good precursor for kind of the PGA and LIV and the deal that's happening. And, one of the things that's going to happen ultimately between these two tours is they're going to get together and play some cross league matches, I guess you would call them, cross league matches. So this should be kind of a precursor of how that should play out. Is there interest? Well, there should be with the four people involved. But I don't know. Is it going to be like a best ball? Is it going to be match play? How are they going to do it? And then the other question is I think they got the four biggest stars, but Jon Rahm is not in there. I think it could have been Bryson and Jon Rahm against Rory and Scottie Scheffler. That's a little bit better for my taste. I mean, after all, Rahm is the individual champ of LIV this year. And you could say what you want about LIV, but I think he won 2 or 3 events, and he was in the top 10 of just about every event in LIV this year. And he had a scoring average of 67.5. So even though there was a lot of press saying he wanted to leave LIV and he wasn't happy, which was all fake anyway, he had a great year overall. Again, he was the individual champ. And so I don't know. Let's see how the match plays out and what it does. Now, speaking of LIV had, Rahm was obviously the individual champ. It was between him and Joaquin Niemann. And it came down to the final day, and Rahm ended up winning the tournament, and Joaquin Niemann ended up, I think, in 3rd or 4th. So that was the individual. And then the following week, last week in Dallas, they had the final of the team competition, and Rahm didn't play. He was out with an illness. I think he had the flu. So that was kind of a bummer. And all year long, it was DeChambeau's team, the Crushers, in first place, and then Rahm's team, Legion 13, in second. And so they were going head-to-head. But the way they do the team competition is the top 4 teams get a bye, and then so 8 teams play on the first day. And the last place team ends up upsetting the Ironheads, which is Kevin Na's team, who plays in a T-shirt, by the way. Your thoughts? T-shirt. They're already playing in shorts, but now he's in a T-shirt. Your boy, the host of this show, always wears a T-shirt. When I play golf, I have to wear collared shirts. I think collared shirts look stupid. At least they do on me. That's how I feel about them. But, you got to play within the rules and wear the collared shirt. So I play the game. But Kevin Na is wearing a T-shirt. So this is where the world's going, folks, whether you like it or not. Music on the golf course, shorts and T-shirts and flat-billed hats and tattoos. Get ready for it. It's all changing. But I digress. Anyways, the team competition. So there was a few upsets the first day, and then when it was all said and done, let's see. So the first day there was 8. So they eliminated 4, and then there was 4 plus the 4 buys, go down to 4, go down to 2, and ends up being Ripper GC, which is Cam Smith's team, ends up winning the entire thing. They were the 6th seed of the tournament, and they end up winning the whole thing. So it's interesting, right? Now we're talking about all these kind of alternate formats of golf and how we're going to get people interested in golf when the tour season is not going on. We'll just say the PGA Tour season because it's still the biggest one and what people follow the most. But it ended 3 weeks ago. So now, what are we going to do between now and when it starts again at the end of January? Watch football, of course. But there is still a lot of golf going on these days. Just a lot of people don't know about it because it's not the standard tour events. So obviously LIV wrapped up, PGA wrapped up, and so now we have the President's Cup. And the President's Cup comes on, and it's the USA versus Canada plus a bunch of other countries. And the first day, the USA wins every match. The second day, Canada wins every match, so it's tied 5-5. And then over the weekend, the United States ends up running away with it. And a lot of people would say, why even bother watching this? The USA is going to crush them. It's the same thing kind of with the Ryder Cup, as far as like the home team usually wins the Ryder Cup. Or I think pretty much the last 30 years, the home team has won the Ryder Cup. Ryder Cup. So it's an interesting thing, right? But it's team competition. So here we have the LIV team competition. We have the President's Cup. Every other year we have the Ryder Cup. And now we have the match, which is ultimately going to be a team competition. So there is something to be said for this team golf and match play. And even with the PGA, the way they wrapped up the FedEx Cup and the points and giving certain players, I guess you would say a bye, or not a bye, but they're giving them extra points. And, it's not being picked up on by the fans. The end of the PGA season with the FedEx Cups and the points and the tournaments they're doing isn't resonating with the fans. So is there something for team competition, match play? I believe there is. I do believe there is, and I think it's something that everyone's working towards right now. Well, they're not really working towards it, but that's where it's going. If you look where we're at right now with these, with the LIV team event again, TGL, which is going to be a team event, the President's Cup, and then the match. Let's wrap up a little bit here by talking about the TGL, the Tiger Golf League. Tomorrow Golf League, I don't know. Anyways, what it is a simulator golf league. A simulator golf league that's going to be in Florida, and it's going to start running in either late December or early January. Indoors. They tried to start it last year, very late in the game. Probably like October last year, they announced it. They were going to start it in January, and they started building a facility, which was basically a giant tent. And then there was a hurricane, and the tent got taken out, and so the whole thing got sidelined. So now they're doing it again. They have a permanent facility. SoFi is the sponsor, so it's like the SoFi Golf Indoor Simular Stadium. And within this thing, they have a 64-foot screen. So it's like an IMAX screen. And then these guys will be hitting into it, and they'll be playing competitions. It's Tiger, it's Rory, it's Justin Thomas. It's everybody that lives in Florida that's in the PGA and not in LIV. I don't think there's LIV players, but maybe there are. They just announced the finer details, and they kind of have this video that goes along with it. You can look it up online. But again, 64-foot screen. There's going to be an audience with fans. There's a hitting area for hitting into the screen that has 3 different lies. So it has just short grass, rough, and then sand to simulate a fairway bunker. There's a bunch of new courses that are designed by this guy named Bo Welling. And, like, for instance, there's a hole that they showed that's a 750-yard par 5. It's a dog leg. If you were to play it down the fairway, it would be 750 yards. But then they set up this like island fairway. So if you hit it 300 yards, you can land it on the island, and then that only leaves you 250 yards to the green. So, they're creating kind of these virtual courses. It's like the Golden Tee. Remember that game? Golden Tee with the trackball? It's kind of like that. There's kind of a bunch of courses that they're going to play on that. The other interesting thing that they are doing is they have a virtual green. And the virtual green is, I think it's about 50 yards long. Well, the area to hit onto the virtual green is 50 yards long. And then there's this green, and it has a few bunkers around it. I think there's 3 or 4 bunkers around it. And then it rotates as well, so that they can, spin it around so we can give people different angles to chip onto. And then it also is a virtual green. I don't know if you've ever seen the virtual green. I believe Full Swing makes it, but it's this green, and it basically has an iPad, and you can hit some buttons, and it makes different lies on the green. Not different lies, but actually like different breaks and different breaking putts. And it shows you, they kind of overlay like a laser image of which way the putt's going to break. It's pretty cool. I see it at the PGA golf show in Orlando, but that's what this virtual green is going to be. They call it a virtual green. It's actually a real green with a chipping area, and it rotates. But I guess virtual meaning you can change the slope of the green and the breaking. So we'll see. Now, 2 questions about this. How will it be produced? Will it be interesting? It's going to be kind of match play, head-to-head, multiple players. But for me, it seems like it's going to take a while to do, because each player is going to have to kind of go up there and hit a shot. I don't know. It should be fairly exciting. But again, it's all how it's produced, and, kind of how exciting that can be for a fan to watch it on television of a bunch of guys hitting into a screen, or if you're at the event watching someone hit into a screen. So we'll see. Starts in January. But the other question I have is, what will this do for indoor golf simulators within the United States, or worldwide for that matter, but mainly in the United States? There's a lot of simulators. As far as indoor simulators, you probably have one in your town. If you live in a big town, there's usually like maybe a bar that'll have 4 or 5 simulators inside of it. And there's one where I live in Incline Village that just opened. It's a one room simulator, because that's all they need up there. But I'm wondering if this will help drive the simulator business. It's a business I've always been very intrigued by, and I've done a lot of research into and considered opening my own as well, as far as can the numbers work for having, once you pay your rent and the simulator and all your other fees and your insurance and blah, 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 can you make it work? Can you sell enough memberships in an area? Yeah, you can do league golf night. I'm 100% against food and beverage in these places. I think you should be able to bring your own, but that's not how they're set up. And I also think that they should have a 24-hour keyless lock on the door. So if I want to book the simulator at 3 a.m, I can go use it at 3 a.m, assuming I can book it. And I don't need an employee there to show me around. But anyways, that's just my thoughts on it. So I'm wondering if that'll increase for those companies and those businesses that are running simulators and kind of bar simulators in the United States, if that will have an impact on those businesses. All to be determined. Ladies and gentlemen, that is This Week in Golf. That's the odds and ends of golf when we're not in a season, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Hey, it's Jeremy Callahan, and thanks for listening to This Week in Golf. Make sure and hit subscribe so you can get all the latest news and analysis from Golf BPM.